Hey guys, Locky from e-Spurs Australia coming to you once again with your e-Spurs Your Shout match reaction to the 1-0 win over Middlesbrough. Um, Fair few talking points coming out of this one. First of all, I think in relation to Sunderland, there's a lot to talk about there. So obviously, Sunderland was a very disappointing game. No one really performed well at all. Son was given a start due to his recent good performances and great goal against City and against Wickham as well. So he got a start again this morning and he ended up being the man of the match. Now, Son, for me, this was a performance that sort of showcased him entirely what he offers Spurs. So there was the good, there was the not so good, and there was his general utility as a player. Now, obviously, he won the foul that he won the penalty that gave us the goal to win the game and get the points. So obviously, he had an impact there, and he did get man of the match for his performance. Overall, you'd say, yeah, you wanted him on the pitch. He was lively. He was making good runs. He was useful with the ball to an extent. He seems like he did the hard stuff, and then when it came to just getting your head up and finding an easy pass or a useful shot, he was often lacking. Again, I don't want to detract from his performance. It was a great performance. I love Sonny. And I love what he brings to the team, but this performance, I think, will divide Spurs fans either way. There was just a few instances where you're like, what are you doing? What were you trying to do? And why didn't you do the obvious thing that you should have done? There was a point in the second half where he just quite obviously should have passed to Kane. He lashed out. He seemed to. I'm fairly certain he's a right-footed player. But he seemed to always be using his left, and I don't know, we always bang on about players. Oh. Hey, buddy. It's my new kitten, Wilbur. I have two new kittens. The other one is named Mo, after Pochettino. But, alright, buddy. Son, yes. Decision making. You often complain about players always trying to look to use their better foot. In this case this morning, I was like, why aren't you cutting onto your better foot and using it? Or sometimes he did take too long and he didn't. I don't know. It was a 7 out of 10 for me, not a 10. And that he got man of the match sort of said a lot about our performance as a whole. I guess we should get into that. Attacking players, it felt like Kane, Eriksen, and Ali, while obviously being better than they were against Sunderland, were still sort of just not on the same wavelength, not connecting in a very fluid way or in a positive way. There were a few instances in the second half where they just seemed to just muddle it all up and not do anything. And yes, buddy. And yeah, it was disheartening. And if you'd feel that if they were really on point, we would have won 3-0, something like that. So it was, better than Sunderland. Not the best, but hopefully that's a trajectory there that will hopefully see us play well against Liverpool, which they'll need to do. They'll need to step it up another gear. Harry Kane in particular missed a couple of chances. Hasn't looked his old self. Obviously calmness personified with that penalty which he took. He does penalties. The man can take a penalty. But I think something that's not getting enough attention, and I replied to someone on Twitter about this, was the man's had a baby like a few weeks ago, and I don't know what his sort of situation is at home, but if he's getting 8 hours of sleep a night, I'd be very, very surprised. So the fact that he's on the pitch and he can keep his eyes open, I think is, another just testament to the player that we have here. And kudos to him for getting the goal as well. Now, attacking players, wasn't so great. Also, Sissoko. Look, I'm the kind of guy, I don't want to badmouth any of our players. I've been a defender of Sissoko up until now. I still sort of am. I still think he does need time. But, given the opportunities he has had, he's had them. This is not, he's had a few minutes on the pitch to show us what he can do. And you'd feel he's just not actually doing anything. I thought he was useful against Wickham, but I don't know. He doesn't seem to be what we need, especially when we're throwing him on. I mean, he brings some energy. He is quick. He's robust. He's strong on the ball, but he doesn't seem to be able to be involved in anything meaningful or create anything meaningful for other players. So, the future for him, I just don't know anymore. I mean, unless he starts really starting to show some quality, it's hard to see him fitting into a picture going forward. Aside from that, attacking, on another day, we would have had a few goals. Today, whether it was luck or just those front 3 stars just not quite being at their best, we'll see, Still, not much to complain about, considering the other results that went on today. So I don't want to talk about them, but obviously, good stuff. Actually, on that point, I will talk about it slightly. The difference being, we drew with Sunderland, obviously massive disappointment and points dropped. But that sort of happened around us. The game finished and we were like, oh, dang, that was an opportunity lost. This one, there were results happened and then Spurs had to capitalise on that. And it shows a certain mental toughness to be able to capitalise on it. And I'm glad we did, because now we've solidified second. We're 3 points ahead of the scum, and onwards and upwards from here. So I thought that was a good sort of caveat to the Sunderland game. A minor difference, but a difference nonetheless. Now, another big thing I sort of noticed during the game was we started really brightly. We had a few chances going forward. Dele Alli, I feel, really should have finished that chance that Eriksson set up for him. Really great pass, really great awareness from Eriksson, and Dele Alli just sort of shanked that shot. And that's what I mean. These players didn't seem to really be on the wavelength. The same sort of thought process. You'd feel that he should have known that was going to happen. He should have been prepared and should have had a better shot lined up. But same with Kane. He missed a quite gilt-edged header. But back to the start of the game. We started really well. It was quick. We were pressing, and it was looking at that point, maybe first 15 minutes. So this was going to be all right. We're going to have a nice, easy home game. And once we get that first goal, we're going to be swimming in gravy. But it didn't come, and we sort of slacked off a bit after that. Middlesbrough weren't offering much going forward, but we just sort of slacked off for a bit. And then you see the difference between these quick passes and quick pressing and quick play, and how that puts the other team on the back foot. And then when we step back and just sort of pass it side to side, nothing really happens. We don't look like doing anything. And then, for that Harry Kane missed chance, it was the first time in maybe about 10 or 15 minutes that we just done some quick, incisive, one-touch passes. Dele Alli, one-touch. Son, first time cross for Harry Kane, who unfortunately put it over the bar. But it goes to show that we need to be pushing really hard in those first parts of the game, get the first goal, and then these teams that sit back, once there's a goal on that little scoreboard, the game changes and we can relax and we can do our thing with the two centre mids. What are people? Wembele, Wembele. That dynamic, perfect partnership in the middle. I feel that does a lot. I feel like that works a lot more when we're sort of trying to absorb some pressure rather than create the pressure. So I don't know whether we're, is it a bit shy to have those two players on starting against Middlesbrough? Should we not be starting with someone like Harry Winks, or should we not be putting, say, two people up front with Eriksen sort of in that centre attacking midfield role with two wingers? I don't know. Poch knows what he's doing. I'm just some chump in Australia. So, I don't know. It just seems, a bit cautious when perhaps in the second half, once we've got a goal, then you throw Wanyama on, and that guy's a unit. He's going to stop everything that's going to happen. I don't know. Seems like a more positive approach. The other big talking point going into the game was Ben Davies. Davies. Whatever. Whether, Danny Rose looks like he's got about a 1 month injury, not looking great, but Davies is a very capable replacement. He just doesn't offer quite the same thing going forward, so we can't do that brilliant three at the back that was working for us so well, sort of shifts everyone around. But I thought Davies looked solid. I thought he played better than I, sort of expected him to. He was involved in a lot of attacking play. He wasn't, just sitting there hanging back. He was getting about and he was getting involved. There was a period in the second half where he made a few sort of errors, gave the ball away a bit in quick succession, and it was quite noticeable. But you'd feel that that's the kind of thing he'd be able to iron out, with some more minutes. The guy's played a half before this, and now he's had his first start. I thought it was a perfectly capable performance from him, and I'm not too concerned going forward. Obviously, the game will change when we have to play Europe and FA Cup and Premier League. Hopefully, Danny Rose will be back by then. But I was happy with Davies' performance there. Apart from that, I want to just the defense in general. I feel with Eric Dyer back in centre back, there was a few question marks about that earlier in the season. I feel that when you don't notice a player in that position, when you're not, I finished the game, I was like, oh, Eric Dyer, he was there, but I don't really notice him. That's what you want out of a centre back. You want him to quietly go about his job with no sort of what happened there or any sort of glaring things. That was fun. Oh, and just going back to Davies, obviously a big thing was like, oh, Adama Traore, the speedster's gonna have him in his pocket. It didn't happen at all. That guy had very not many chances at all, and it's a testament to just how good our defense is that a player like that can just be completely quiet. So there was a minor scare in that last last 10 minutes of the game where they kind of came at us, and I thought that we were going to have the same problem Manchester City did when De Roon scored in like the 100 billionth minute, and he got the same chance, and I probably would have killed myself if he'd scored that. That would have been really awful, but wasn't to be, so we got a little bit of luck there. That's about it for me, guys. Again, Locky from e-Spurs Australia. Give me a follow on Twitter if you're on there. Also, if you want to make some of these videos, just pop a little one together and email it down to this address here, and you'll take care of you. and yeah, get involved in the conversation. It's been a lot of fun. Again, Locky, e-Spurs Australia. Until next time, come on you Spurs.